One of President Donald Trump's first actions was to call for a change in the way immigrants are paroled into the United States. It has been about a week since the Department of Homeland Security implemented the change, and we are now hearing about the impact.
KPRC2 Investigates Robert Arnold is with us now to break down what's changed in this impact. And Robert, how are the feds now handling parole of immigrants into the United States?
Well, one of the things that happened under President Joe Biden was giving Cuban, Venezuelan, Nicaraguan, and Haitian immigrants a chance to stay in the U.S. for 2 years under a parole program. Under President Trump, that's no longer happening. Whether parole remains appropriate in these cases is something that ICE officials are now being told to review. Also, the chair of the House Homeland Security Committee has stated more than 1 million immigrants came in under this program with very little vetting. Now, a Homeland Security memo is telling those ICE agents again to review those parole statuses. So to understand both the concerns and the impact, we met with 2 veteran immigration attorneys, Raed Gonzalez and Kim Bruno. Raed says a couple of issues led to this. Some immigrants paroled into the U.S. weren't asked a lot of questions to make sure they would be applying for asylum or that they even qualified.
They're going after some individuals that were paroled into the country, and they did not have a credible fear interview. So they were at a point where maybe the border was busy, and they allowed them in, and an immigration judge would see their case at some point. They asked them very few questions, but are you coming from, what are you coming from Honduras? Why did you come to the United States? So the violence, immediately they think that's an asylum applicant, and they're processed in.
Gonzalez says some of those paroled into the U.S. didn't file for asylum during the 2-year time frame they were allowed to stay. Kim Bruno, under supervision, are now getting visits from ICE agents. Can they decide to then come back and say, you know what, we've changed our mind, we're going to put you back in detention?
100%. And you know what, that's what we're seeing right now today. I think they're really going hard on just anybody who's here under a parole. And I've had clients tell me from their own, they asked me if I was afraid to go back and if I had who I had all with me, and then they gave me paperwork for each person and then processed me.
But I would think that would also make them more vulnerable to possibly being returned home.
I would agree, because they haven't been found credible, and then it also exhausts the court system.
Now, that memo we were talking about also expands the use of something called expedited removal, and DHS is now saying that if an immigrant has been in the country less than 2 years, they are subject to expedited removal, and at their discretion whether they should do that. Expedited removal means that an immigrant can be removed from the United States without first having an immigration hearing.
Without going through that review.
Right.
Okay, Robert, thank you very much.